I think it's also untwisting your mentality about yourself. Because I'm not gonna. I don't want to take. I don't want to take it outside of women. But the thing is, I believe the problem with society starts with how men see themselves. Adam was the one who gave Eve a name, an identity. What did he say? You shall be called woman. So women do not know what to be called because men don't know who they are.
Reasons for men committing suicide, it's depression and heartbreak.
Heartbreak, I knew
Yes,
it. Heartbreak, I knew it.
Let's come back.
They have this expectation of wanting a husband. But when we start putting that expectation of wanting a wife,
Yeah, pressure.
it's wrong now. It's like so we're on part 2 of the women's topic. So just before we get into it, I'd like you guys to like, subscribe, click that notification button, do the things you know most.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so today we have a special guest. We've just been sitting around here and just chatting, and there's a lot of wisdom from this person. There's a lot of knowledge that we are going to get from today's talk. So I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Nombuso. I'm an ordained minister, but just my name is okay. It's enough. It's relevant and it's suitable. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thank you, guys.
The honor is ours. Trust.
First experience. Thank you.
We're glad to have you here. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I'm passionate about people. I love people, and that's just that. Yeah, I love God. I'm saved, blood washed, hands clapping, foot stomping. Yes, we're there. Holy Spirit, tongue talking. That's us. Yes, that's me. That's me. Yeah, nothing else, nothing less than. Yeah.
Love it. Just to start off, we have the. I think this is the one question we've been asking, I guess, guests. We did it for the males. For
what is a woman?
Yes, but now we're doing it for the females. So, what is a woman?
I think basically simple women is it's a part of God. He just created. That's a child of God. That's if I call you created and all of that, I think it minimizes that you're just a child of God. You are that. You are beloved of God, a child of God, created by Him, because yes, we created. I think a woman is just a child of God, created by God. He just wears an outfit or wears a body that has responsibilities. So I am a woman because there's a certain responsibility and an office that I need to feel. That's what makes me different. I think that what separates genders. But as a woman, I'm just a child of God. I have an assignment. I am called to be part of the fruitful multiplication part. And that's a woman for me.
Nice. Yeah. That was beautiful. I think you touched on you have roles, and that's what the whole topic is basically about. So, what is the role of a woman in this day and age, in this society? Like, we obviously know that there are those like standard roles, but like, what roles do you hold a woman to like have like this basic standard? Correct. This is a woman, and this is other roles of a woman.
Okay, taking advantage of the fact that I think it's Christian background, I would say that let's go from where God talks about the first time we introduced to a woman. It's in First Genesis. I think it's 26 or 27 when it talks about God made female and male alike. So the role of a woman primarily is to be it's a partaker of the fruitful and multiplication. So how you choose to play in that part still needs to be the objective of being a woman. Is that there must be fruitfulness, there must be multiplication, and taking care of the world, subduing it. So that's the key role. The rest are just, I think we're just feeling them because how I desire things to be done. I want somebody to clean the floor. I have only boys. Let the firstborn clean the floor. So those are some of the tasks that are assigned. But basically, bottom line for me is, however we say it, let's start with what God said when He created a woman. Said, you're going to be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. That's the basic fundamental role of a woman.
Yeah.
And what can you say to Tina, the younger ones, the younger women that are about to evolve into that sector of womanhood? Obviously some do have the foundation of Christ and some not.
Yeah.
So can you touch on maybe both perspectives?
I think immediately when you're born, as much as that is one of the things that society is challenging today, is the gender and the allocation of gender.
Yeah.
When you are born and receive, that allocation of gender is godly on its own.
Yeah.
That when you are received, you are that's why we call it growing. You are a baby. It's a reception. When you are born, you are being received. So being a baby, it's a reception stage. And how you mature into it doesn't change who you are, doesn't change your gender. So you're just born, you are received in that form of a baby, but your spirit has always been older. Because if I allow me, I would say Jeremiah 1:5, it says, I knew you before. So the conversation of my birth started before I was even in my mother's womb. Before I became a physical being, it started there. So if we can start there and just say that, knowing that you are born into that gender specifically, and you must know that growing and evolving into that still comes back that you are called into an office to be fruitful and multiply. However you choose, according to your own capacity, to say, I'm going to do this in this role, in this, then it's your personal choice. You can either come into the medical field, you can come into any other career or any other space, but still you must remember that the mandate was for you to say that you need to be fruitful, you need to multiply, you need to subdue the earth. Yeah.
I think I have a screwed up, I think from growing up, I had a screwed up idea of what a woman is or what a role of a woman is. And that is like a woman must be someone that cooks. A woman must be someone that cleans. A woman must be someone that stays home and takes care of
That
the
is
kids.
common.
It's very limited thinking as well.
And in some way, it has gotten into like my relationship now. I have an expectation, I guess, for my girlfriend. It's like I wanted to cook for me, and it's no more like a preference. I'm not sure if I make sense, but like I feel like it becomes like a preference. I now explain it as a preference. Like I prefer women that cook. When like deep down I know like no, actually what I believe a woman is a person that cooks. You understand me? And I think we need to start uprooting those things, those like mentalities, those ways of thinking that a woman is bound to this one thing. Or a woman is in the kitchen and that's where she belongs. So I think just a question directed to the ladies here. What expectations are put on you guys that shouldn't be necessary, that you'd like to set yourselves free from?
Good question.
Well, I don't know. I think getting married, and you have to be put together when you reach a certain age or whatever that it is. So now, obviously, something that I'm working on currently is to change that thinking of you have to get this done by this time. You have to get this done by the time you reach 25 because, your husband can't find you in a certain way or whatever that it is, So it's something that I'm working on to really, it's me. I'm a human, I'm God's child. I also have a purpose here. So I'm shifting my mind into remembering that I should be prosperous. I'm here to be fruitful, and I'm loved dearly by God. I don't need anyone else but Him.
It's your journey.
I think adding on what Tutu just said, for us, it's the idea that we were second thought. I mean, I grew up in a part of the church where we were made to feel like men were, I remember those were the words that my pastors would utter, that men were created, women were made. You know? So to be made to seem like we're an afterthought, And if we were to dwell deeper into Genesis 2 and Genesis 1, you'll understand why the separation of the two passages. So to me, it will be the part of saying, women, we are not an afterthought. We were there in God's heart and in His mind from beginning of time. When He thought of a human being, I was part of it. I was there in His plans. So I think that for me, it's one of the myths that I want dispelled, is that we are not a second thought, and we would appreciate not to be seen as such. When I come into a person's life, I want people to know that I'm not there to serve as if I'm a second thought. You must understand that I am there because God had an idea of who He wants me to be. He had a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I mean, if anything, women were created to be helpers. And that's not to downplay the role or anything. Like, men would reach destruction if a woman wasn't there. Essentially.
Yeah.
Women were made to be helpers. Like, you know what I
think,
mean?
like you're saying, if women weren't there, we'd just rage and just cause destruction. Like just thinking of a role of a mother in a boy's child, that role of nurturing, of teaching, how we were just talking, like when we were just chilling, that you get some of these values of how to treat a woman from your mother. You get all of these things from the women in your life, like your sister, your siblings, your aunts. These things that you pick up subconsciously, or even they are taught to you. So the woman's role, whether as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, is very important. And I think as gents, we need to really, really take that serious. We need to instill that instill that respect in the women we are around. Like we're just talking about being a gentleman. Those things are neglected nowadays.
Definitely.
So we're just trying to bring that back.
Yeah.
I do agree with you guys. I do agree.
Yeah, chivalry is lost.
Exactly.
Yeah. And a thing of how I felt at some point in my life that I had to prove myself, and I don't know why I have to prove myself, but because of how I've been exposed to society and what they expect, now I have this thing of prove myself, it's and it damages me, because now I'm out here doing things now that I don't even see myself doing, and now it affects my choices, it affects my career choices, it just affects a lot of things. So just instilling that respect and the gentlemanness. That's the word. And having this thing, as Dabo said, Yoguti, we were a thought already to God. We were already there. We went Gungulu didn't have this thing of, hey, you know what? Let's add you. Maybe you can fit in there. Maybe you can fit in the creation somehow, somewhere. No, it was Utlotlo, I wanted to be like this or like this, Danami. He was very patient, and while he was creating 9 months. Was forming you before you even, as you said, I knew you before I even formed you in your mother's womb. So time was taken and effort and just love. And He's the essence of love was put into making you. A lot was put into you. So don't ever take that for granted. Don't take yourself for granted. What people say out here, what society expects and what they want from you, it doesn't matter. The only force you should be pleasing right now and working yourself to please is God.
Only. Because, just to say, another thing is, when you bake a cake, even with the new trend of chefs and all of that, there's the basics of doing something. What we as the church, if we were to correct our own mistakes, is that we neglected the basics. As we were talking earlier, we neglected the basics. So if we can go back to why God created a woman, what's the purpose of a woman? It allows me to function better, even as we evolve. It allows me to because some of the things that we talk about, even in the Bible, women were required to adorn themselves, to be attractive, to be flowers. But when you look at animal species, men are more adorned. You know, the peacock that has those feathers, it's a male peacock. The one lion with the mane is a male. So why is it? It's because we need to, I think for me, I'm a person who believes, I don't know whether it's a term or what, but I give it to myself. I'm a fundamentalist. So I believe that if you miss the fundamentals, you miss the foundation of what something is for. And in the quote of the late Dr. Miles Monroe, you said, if a purpose of a thing is unknown, its abuse is inevitable. You know, so
True.
I would say the same thing, that if we don't know why a certain thing was made, if somebody comes here doesn't know the purpose of this mic and just run around hitting us with it, you know, intent bring damage to the mic, you know. So I had to do training as to say how to hold it. Please hold it like this so that you can receive. So if you don't know what the purpose of a woman is, you will in turn use it for something like, I want you to cook. Because you do not know what you could have, you know. And sorry to just, like there's this other, just to give you an example, we go out into the field as women saying that, I want you to invest in my business. You know, the first thing we will be hearing is like, would you sleep with me?
Yeah.
And this guy is missing out on $1 billion idea.
Yeah.
Just because all he thinks about is that it's a woman bringing it to me. So you're missing out on what is there because you don't even know the purpose of what is there.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, well,
It's about knowing the identity. I feel like that's one of the basics as well. And we get to touch to your identity, you know. And I mean, you know, speaking on behalf of the gents as well, I know that there is a twisted view of that we have of women out there, you know, based on their roles in society, in a marriage setting, in anything, you know, like it's kind of twisted as well, and you know, it's something that we need to work on, and on the females as well, you know, the women, like knowing your identity as a woman, because if you know yourself, you know your standards, you know what you allow in, you know what you don't, you know.
That is very true.
How can we untwist that mentality for guys, though?
I think it's also untwisting your mentality about yourself. Because I don't want to take it outside of women, but the thing is, I believe the problem with society starts with how men see themselves. You know, because let's go back a bit. Adam was the one who gave Eve a name, an identity. What did he say? You shall be called woman. So women do not know what to be called because men don't know who they are. So you can't expect me to know how to function when you do not know because your position, let me not be politically correct about it or be feministic about this, but your position determines the entire play in the soccer in the team. You know, if we don't know where goalie is supposed to stand, we don't know where wing is supposed to be, middle field is supposed to be. So you as men in society, your primary responsibility is to be name givers, is to know. So how can we claim an identity when you don't know your own identity? You know, so that's the primary thing. Women can easily, because you know, with women, you can be as successful as you want to be, but all we want to know secretly, subconsciously, we all want to know, who are you married to? Because it's about the name. What does the Bible say in Isaiah? That 7 women will be going after 1 man. Do you know what does it say they will be asking for? Not a house, not anything, a name. Because if a man does not know who he is, it corrupts society. And just to throw it out there, men deceive themselves. Intent deceives society. So I see you from the perspective of your own deception. So how can we not be lost?
Okay, I mean, I'm asking myself, am I deceiving myself right now?
Self-introspection.
Get back to the basics. But I mean, that is so true. Like, oh my goodness. You need to see yourself. Like, how you see yourself, that's how you portray. Men, I mean, we raised this point in the men's episode that men are leaders. A man is a leader, you know, and anything in society, like any disorganization in society or any organization in society, it comes out from a family setting.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm getting that point through correctly, but how the man leads his family. It's going to affect society.
Yeah.
That's so key, what you just said.
It's so true, and I mean, it begins there. Imagine having a man who does not know himself in a marriage setting. That brings destruction to society.
It doesn't have God.
It doesn't have God.
No.
I mean, to continue what you just said, we have this thing that with this, when the State of the Nation address, we normally say we start with, I'm sure there's the Soma and Sona. So we always say it starts with the SOFA, State of the Family Address. So as a family, it needs to start there, because let me just throw it like, if a man, we're not trying to say families that do not have fathers cannot do this, but we're just saying, let's be in a utopia where every family has a mom and a dad, you know? So in this situation, you have a family, a mom and a dad go into their bedroom. This is how I see families, how I see society should be. A mom and a dad go into their own bedroom. They discuss how they want the family to be run. They come and call the kids. We expect you to bring 100%. We expect you and to say that, come on, this is how much you want. Josh, this is what you want. So after everything else, parents have laid it out there. This is what you going out into the society, going to impact society. Why it did start in the living room, on the sofa. That was the family state, the state of the family address. So if their father goes in private and talks to his wife, that's where the headship comes in, that the man is the head. You're not the head of the family. There is no such a scripture in the Bible. You are the head of your wife. So the meeting starts there. You finish it there. Then he comes and presents it to the family. After the agreement has been there, with no opposition. Why? The conversation has been had in private. So now the kids come in. So my point in this, what I'm trying to bring back, is that the disruption of a man, that's why the devil is attacking men. The disruption of a man's identity, that disruption on its own, it's just causing a collapse in society.
Yeah.
Sure, and we're seeing it live out in real time, like now. The times we're in, it's hectic.
Look at the suicide rates.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Women don't kill themselves as much as men do.
It's so true. And one of the top two biggest reasons for men committing suicide, it's depression and heartbreak.
Heartbreak. I knew
it. Let's come back.
And it goes back to identity as well.
Goes back to identity. But okay, so going back to the point of the man giving the woman the name, right? Is it in society as a whole, or does that concern a marriage setting? Because you're young, you're still growing up, you're finding your identity, you're finding your space. You need to work on yourself. Okay, how do you work on your identity in knowing yourself?
When as you're saying it, in an ideal world, you will have a mom and a dad, as I've said. So when you have a mom and a dad, your dad gives you identity as a girl. So you know who you are from the perspective of, I would speak as itakazelo zami. But when you look at itakazelo, it's not just saying it unto ancestors per se.
What is that?
The totems. Yeah, my totems.
You don't know what they are.
Yeah.
My family names and
I didn't know that, like Zulu.
Oh yes, my family totems. You'll find that when you say them, you're not saying them to appease ancestors, but you're saying them to gain an identity of who you are. When you're going out into the field and you know that mina ngwakabani and tinekhaya sibulala ibhubezi lisibhekile. So you know that you are a warrior going out into the field, because that's how your dad has. So with the disruption of society, I personally draw my identity from God, because that's one identity that can never go wrong. He says, I'm a father to the fatherless. So in a sense that there's no identity that I can breed from, I take my identity from God, because that one cannot be distorted by anybody.
True.
It's mine. So when I go into the field, I go into the force, I go into people and I approach my own life, I know that I'm a child of God, and
I know who my
I
God
speak
is.
my totems and the biblical totems. As you know what, I am the beloved of God, and I start speaking that I have the power, the anointing, I'm powered. All those things that I start saying. So when I go into the field, I go into the field with that identity.
I like how you even started how you introduced yourself, just like with the topic. You're going at it like that, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's really cool. I'd like to go into like values into values. Like what are some, I don't know, Tuto, you have values that you hold yourself to, maybe. But what are like some good values to hold yourself like accountable to as a woman?
As a woman is to treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Okay.
Doesn't matter who it is, what they did. How would you expect to be treated if you were put in a position like that? That's something I'm working on, and I'm instilling that in myself now. So by the time I'm like a certain age and I'm of age, then I know, I can like treat people the right way. And it doesn't matter what you do to me, but with kindness, I will treat you. With compassion, I will treat you. With love, I will show you, because that's what God has done for me. He has done nothing but care for me, nothing but love me. And why wouldn't you want a person to experience something like that and to see something like that for themselves? Because it doesn't only, give them and make them feel, it make them self-reflect on themselves, but it also invites Christ in a way. Do you understand? Because you are representing him in the right manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is one of the things that you said about doing unto others and what done unto you. It's primarily the second commandment of saying, love your neighbors as yourself. And number one, it's love yourself. That's the measure. That's the standard. So I believe that my value is, I teach people how to treat me. I cannot blame you for how you treat me, because somewhere, somehow, I've given you the signals of how you should treat me. So I believe that my value is, teach people how to treat you. If you do not want something done, don't allow it. Don't let them go there. Don't let it be said. And be honest. It's not easy being honest, but honesty is a character that it's rare to find. So be honest. And in your honesty, I know that my honesty is it's just to say that, God, I trust you with the truth. It might make people see me differently because they know that, you did that, But it's just being honest and loving myself, getting a sense of who I am, and forcing that, even if sometimes I don't want to believe good things about myself because of certain things that are happening, I need to force it upon myself. I have no other option but to believe in myself and be good to myself.
True.
Okay. Josh, are there any values that you hold that you maybe not hold, but like that you
I mean, I'm not a woman, but
as for looking at a partner, looking for a partner.
Before you answer, I don't know why every time, guys, Josh answers or you guys ask him a question, everyone just starts laughing. That's bullying.
right?
That's bullying.
I'm asking myself the same thing. Am I funny? Do I look funny?
Talking about
Okay, you can answer.
What are you talking about?
I understand what you're saying. I really do. Thanks for looking out for me.
Compassion.
Yes, that. Okay, so for me, I feel like the values that I would expect from my partner would be values that I have for myself as well. Something that speaks to me as well. Because of course I want to give out what I can get in. So it'll just be the point that you raised, being able to do for that person and to that person what you would want done unto you as well. Giving the love that you want to be given. And this is something important that I discovered in relationships. You will only get what you give. Honestly.
You get.
Why you guys? No. Like, why are you guys laughing?
They're having that moment.
No, repeat that. I didn't hear that.
Giving, get it. You only get what you give. You only get what you give.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
in terms of communication, if you want the communication to be there, give good communication.
Yeah.
If you want her to ask you about your day, ask her about your day. You know, ask her about her day as well. You know, it's just like that. So yeah, like literally doing unto her what you want done unto you.
Yeah, definitely. When I get
Something about me. What about you? Yes, and I'm ready to laugh at you. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, like the biggest thing value for me is respect. I just want to feel respected, and
Feel like you're not respected enough.
I am respected.
Oh, are you?
I am respected.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very much respected. That's the thing, you know. So yeah, I give that out, and I'd like to get that in return. Exactly what you guys are doing.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, that's my biggest.
Just on that respect part, what is it when you say you want somebody to respect you?
Yeah.
Usually they just throw it out there. It's like respect.
Yes,
Bottom line is,
that's a good
most of the
question.
time women don't even know what is it to say I'm respected.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think be like mindful of my thoughts, my decisions, mindful of my dreams. Respect that I might want to take this career path or something that maybe does not align with you. But you know, once we get to a certain like point or like point in a relationship where you can go wherever with me because my career is taking me there, and vice versa. I mean, if her career is taking her wherever she's going, I think if on my side it's like pretty not holding me down or anything, I think I'd go with her. You know, it's like so in that type of way, I feel like respect my decisions, respect my values, respect the things I kind of like give out to you, you know. So yeah, I think that's in that way for me.
Because what you just said comes to any woman, like speaking about women and values in society, and to any woman who has just seen, not that I've seen a lot, but it somewhat can be easily misinterpreted as it's self-serving.
Yeah.
It's never about coupling. It's about service now. Okay. So that you are coming into my life to serve me. But I have to be conscious of the fact that I need to be aware of what I say. The thing I appreciate about men is that you are intentional when you speak. So it's easy to know when somebody is going to lie to you because you are somewhat intentional about what you're going to say. So as you were saying, I wanted to follow my to respect my career. Your mind jumps straight into thinking, "What she has a career. Let me include it in this line." You see,
I agree. That popped up as like,
it pops out like that. So it's the thing of saying. That's why I asked the question about respect, because I believe our young men, what we don't teach you about what respect is and the value of others is just respect is so mutual before you can require it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you want somebody to respect you, teach them respect. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, there's a mansplaining of things. So when you teach somebody to respect you, is what do you value in life?
Yeah.
You know, do you respect your baby sisters? Do you respect young women in the church? When you talk about women, what do you say? The more you are aware, your awareness of women and their needs, it makes you know what is it that you are asking for when you say respect me. Because the respect that you need is very simple. Sometimes it borderlines. Some people say respect, but it borderlines to fear. Because when somebody respects you, you don't need to be present for you to experience that respect.
Yeah,
that's
true. You cannot be here, but you cannot be here. You can be late, and she could be sitting there. But if she respects you and respects your dream, she can organize this whole thing the way, because she understands your heart and your passion.
Yeah.
So respect is something that still needs to be how you need it, how you require it as men. It's something I think needs to be taught, because the way it comes across to us, it's now like I'm coming to serve you, and you get So you're right in what you said. I'm not saying there's anything wrong you said. I'm just making you conscious of the fact that men are aware when they speak. And in that awareness, you rope us in just to keep us there. I'm thinking about you, but it's not about you. But yeah.
Thank you for the correction, though. Thank you. I think, it's obviously like me sitting down and actually like thinking what respect really means, what it actually is,
We learned.
What
today.
is totally offhand, Christian? What is the difference between serving and obedience? Well, sorry, not obedience. Serving.
See why we laugh?
Serving and being in submission.
Service and submission.
Yes.
I think service goes both.
As a
service
woman.
and submission.
It works hand in hand.
If we're talking about submission, what I remember personally being married, I struggled with submission. Me being me, outspoken,
Why?
know it all, sort and so.
Okay.
I struggled with submission because it's like sometimes submission feels as if you can see, but you are led by a blind person.
Yeah.
So you want to tell them that you're going to the pit, but you have been muzzled not to say. That's how submission looks. That's how we're taught submission is. But submission for me, I've learned, Holy Spirit helped me learn, taught me submission, the simplest of form. That when Jesus, the Bible talks about how he got his name to be above every other name. It said, being God, he did not exalt himself above as God. So it starts there that being in a relationship, we are both equals. But because I've assumed a position of being a wife in this relationship, then I take it's like coming to a company. You can have all the degrees, but you're not the CEO.
Yeah.
And the CEO needs to understand that being the CEO doesn't make you God over that situation. It's assuming an office. You are there to serve that office. So I'm responsible for the office of a wife. So in me, nobody forced me, held a gun to my head and say, be a wife. I chose to submit to that office. So as I'm submitting to that office, whatever requirements of the office are, I need to do them to the satisfaction of my master. My submission has nothing to do with anything except for the fact that I'm honoring the institution that God created. Yeah. I'm of service because if I don't know my position in a company, people looking in from the outside do not even see the good of what we as Christians have destroyed marriage, and we were the ones who are supposed to model it for the world to see what the true value of marriage is. So to me, submission is, let's start teaching that equality in all. Then when I assume an office of a wife, that's where verse 2 in Genesis chapter 2 comes in, that now it's role driven, opposing to one where it says, may God created them male and female in an equal state. Now, when you're becoming a wife or a husband in that marriage setup, the story becomes different. So when it comes to submission, that's what submission is. I've assumed an office, and still in that office, I'm serving.
Yeah.
Me holistically with my every part of me that when God said you are a woman, I need to serve my family. That's set up with who I am as a person. So service and submission go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm in that office, I serve that office, and I'm submitting to that office, whatever God calls it. And it doesn't matter. I chose that dumb man. If I'm marrying somebody that's like, oh my God, I have to correct him when I'm in front of people. I chose that person. Nobody chose that person for me. So I need to do a service unto God with my marriage.
Wow.
So, do you choose your husband? God doesn't necessarily he's the one, or doesn't direct you, at least with him. Don't be no. Let's just fix that, because no, that's not.
A lot of people are gonna kill us for this question. What I personally believe it's out there. It kind of sounds cool, but it's out there. It's that when God created you, Psalm 139, I think it's verse 16, where it says, all the days of your life were written in the book. They were chronicled. There's a version that says chronicled. So the time to your day and to your movement and everything was just written there. That's in the first one. Secondly, again, Jeremiah 1 verse 5. before you were born. So there's a story to who you are. There's a journey that you are taking. So that story will come to a point where you'll meet this person and they'll be removed. There'll be person coming in, they'll be removed. Now we come back to Adam and Eve. God brought Eve to Adam. So when in that situation, it's like where he who finds a wife finds a good thing. And it's not that it's a search kind of a thing. It's being brought into that person's life. So what we normally do is we are focused on being coupled instead of focusing on being individuals. Because in me being an individual, I start working on what God has called me to do.
Yeah.
Everybody in the Bible that we see being used by God, they were interrupted.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that how can you want God's plan to be active in your life when you're not even active in your own life? So you need to be interrupted for you to see that this is God. So go and be yourself. Go live your truth. Go live what God has called you to do. Be out there. Do that fully. You will be in this. It's like running a race in your lane. Whatever you want is in your lane. It doesn't matter how sparkling and flowered and blooming other lanes are. Focus on your lane. Be true to your lane. Whoever you want to be with is in your lane.
Exactly.
You won't even demand respect. They will know you, see you, respect you without even you asking for it. So be you, live your truth.
I agree with that.
Okay, Josh.
Yes. No, I've always been telling people this. I've always mentioned that, like, you need to work on yourself. I have a circle. I used to lead a cell group, and they would ask me, like, how do you meet that kind of girlfriend? And I would it's so simple. Like, if you're working on yourself, the person that you're going to meet the person that you should meet.
Exactly.
God is going to put that person in your lane.
So it doesn't disrupt your purpose and what you're doing as well.
No, one thing I've noticed that with this thing about what we do as people is that we are so keen to fit into what we think is normal.
Exactly.
We are so, especially Tina as the
Societal
church.
norms.
Yes, we are now being told by TikTok how to live our lives, how to define yourself, how to
be a boyfriend, how to be a girlfriend.
Exactly. But the reality of it is, it's a journey, build your story.
Yeah.
Number one, people want to get married. They've yet to respect their parents.
Yeah.
They don't even know. There's this other video of this guy who is in the military. I think it's in the Marines in America. What he said was that the thing that you do in the morning, first thing that you do is fix your bed. That's the first achievement of the day. So that's the thing. We want to be ahead of ourselves with other things, but we haven't achieved small basic stuff. Can our parents trust us with the house for the weekend? Can they trust me to say I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
And you cannot bring somebody into your life until you've come to a point in your life where you have loved yourself. And because loving yourself sets a standard, a benchmark as to how somebody coming into your life must be.
Yeah.
You start to say, I cannot tolerate this, and they don't understand why. It's because you have been with yourself and served yourself, and you've set a benchmark. Yeah. So that's the thing. What is your benchmark?
Exactly.
What is it that you end?
If you don't have that, people are just gonna walk over
you.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
In relationships, you won't even be able to say no to the things that don't align with your identity.
You start going to parties you don't want to go to. You start
exactly. And you will always have boundaries. Now, so
couple goes or shoot and all of that stuff. It's not even you to come to think of it. So those are the things.
So one of the values that I also have is keeping promises.
Yes.
I'm very big on promises, because when I tell you that I promise to do this for you, no matter how long it takes or what has to happen in order for me, but I will do it, because the God that I serve has done that for me. He models all these things for me, So it's just like a natural thing now for me to also do that. So how do you... You know what? Let me not say how, because you just answered the question of the person will come if he or she aligns with your values, of course, hopefully. Yeah.
I think the promise thing. It goes for both sides. You can't like say Kamu's trustworthy if he'll promise you something and he doesn't actually do it. I feel like promises also, like you make promises if you know that you're going to
keep
honestly meet those promises, right?
And it's
That's
a
why
command
the Bible
to not promise.
exactly.
Yes.
I'd rather just say no if it's a no, yes if it's a yes.
I can't.
Simple. Yeah.
Okay.
I have like a question. So women have this thing that like especially the ones we're dating, our generation, Josh. Like they have this like expectation of wanting a husband. But when we start putting that expectation of wanting a wife,
pressure.
It's wrong now. It's like it's like it's all over. Like give me a wife, put a ring on it. Like, but now you're expecting a husband. You're expecting me to husband you, to do all these things. Like,
expecting what you can give.
Exactly. So like. Like, what is my question?
What's going on?
Where's your question?
We hear
Now
your
I'm waiting
question.
for it.
We hear your question.
Why?
Why?
And like, how can we correct that? Or something? I don't know what the question is.
But Jay, in that
like,
category,
I think okay, before the ladies actually explain themselves. For me, going into the relationship again, knowing yourself, knowing what you want in a relationship, but okay, no, you know what, I'm going into a relationship with you. That means that this thing has a destination, because a relationship is just what it's the vehicle that you're in, right? That leads to a destination, and you have to openly communicate the destination. Like, okay, you know what? I'm in this with you, or we're going in this. Like, this should go there. If it's not going there,
then
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's personally what I think.
Yeah,
I don't know about
I
you
have
guys.
this. Yeah, I got the question. The question is like women have that expectation, but don't want us to have that expectation. No?
Yeah.
So, and then we come back to like dating. When is it? And we say if you're dating to marry, you're kind of practicing marriage in a way. You understand me? So like, when can you start? Like, or maybe like not when, but like, how do you like place that that expectation? How should you place it in a way that's not offensive, or that's not like that it doesn't come across as a demand? Like I want us to start practicing being this. We both know what's happening, but consciously, we both know we're trying to get into like a stage of like, or getting married, or we're dating to get married. But like, how do you now say that in a non-offensive way where it's not coming up as an expectation?
I think communication. Like, if you reach a certain level, I think, if you would like reach a certain level with your girlfriend, obviously, and you guys are like, so the elephant in the room, because at some point it becomes an elephant in the room if you don't talk about it, then you guys can sit down and be like, we know where this is going. We care about each other. You have to detail yourselves now. Like, you literally have to have a detailed conversation about it. Your values, your beliefs. You have to break down every single thing, and then to sum up the discussion of it's okay. We are willing to do this.
And don't be afraid if you feel like it comes off as
demanding.
True. I think, I have a question maybe rather on that. It's the role of a girlfriend. Okay. What are some misconceptions that you feel like? Because we've spoken and we know you've been through all that. You've been married as well. Yeah. Back to when you were a girlfriend. What were some things that you should have changed?
I just don't see that.
Josh.
That is a fair question, though. That is a fair question. And I'm coming to that to this one. In overall, I believe Uguti, whatever you start, and it be, especially when it comes to indabazama girlfriends and boyfriends and stuff like that. When you look into the Bible, most of the time, girls would get married at the age of 15, 14, because there was not that much to do back then, So if we were to look at it today, hormones start kicking in at a very early age. The demand to satisfy those hormones starts to kick in at a very early age. They feel the need to couple up starts at a very early age. And now we need to know that we need to have the wisdom to understand that the God who created our bodies knows what's going on right now, knows my financial situation, knows my anxieties. We can communicate any anxiety with God, but except that one. We feel like it's there's something taboo about us telling God about my anxieties about getting married and all of that. And another thing is the people like us who have gone before you and Christian as we are getting divorced, it kind of shakes the ground a bit to say that, how can I be certain? At the same time, what I've seen mostly with this generation, not with this generation, it's happening with us as well, is that people it's like, you want to sit on the couch, but you don't want the couch to change the shape. You want somebody to come into your life, but you want your life not to be disrupted. And that's not possible. A whole human being coming into your life, it's going to be disrupted.
So true.
It starts with you had about 86 contacts, now you have 87 contacts. It starts with certain conversations on the day, now conversations have added. So when you are conscious of the fact that you are adding a human being in your life, they have a history, they have a story, they have family, they have friends, they have TikTok followers, they have all these influences. You must know that when you're talking to, if I'm talking to Josh right now, I must know that I'm talking to everybody else that's influencing him. So I must be conscious of the fact that you're not just talking to this person. You're talking to what they were taught. You're talking to what they have seen. You're talking to what they've experienced. You're talking to what they desire. You're talking to what they're taught to desire. So you must know how to reach a human being at the level where you are talking to them.
Hey, bro.
You're not talking to everybody else but to them. It starts with you understanding what that person wants. Make it about them. Because they are coming to you, as much as they're coming into your life, make it about them. Understand what is it that you want in this life. When a person starts to talk about themselves, they start to open about themselves. There are certain questions that will make a person vulnerable enough to question themselves. They may not know what they want, but when you open that door for that question to go out there, like, no, I'm not talking about what everybody else wants. I want what you want. If today you can get $1 million, $1 million bucks, what would you do? You start to hear from there. You start to hear their problems. You start to sense, this is where this person, the psychology behind it. Who are you living with, mom? Do you believe in, I don't believe in divorce. We don't talk about topics that spark a conversation. We talk about some even go as far as Netflix and chill. It does not, going to the movies, you cannot talk and eat at the same time. It's a dark room. You cannot have a conversation. But interacting, having group meetings, when somebody is unguarded, it's easy to know it's easy to ask questions. You get to observe them in different setups. So most of the time, my mistake was, I will tell you the honest truth. My mistake was I wanted to get married. And because I was in the presence of mind, I just wanted to get married. I knew I liked him. I knew I could live with him. But the idea is you want to get married. But at the end of the day, you don't even know at some point what I'm going to do with this marriage. Why I'm going to take this marriage? What do I want this marriage to do for me? So
that's powerful. I think I'm at that stage.
You want to propose?
No. Like at that stage, I want to get married, but why? What? I'm at that questioning myself.
For me, I've found that for myself. I've never really been a person interested in marriage or dating or any of that. I've just been well, do you, boo? When I saw other people, I was like, well.
Is it not like a female thing, a woman thing, where they fantasize about getting married and they want to
that's the thing. When I watched movies, I saw, all these girls are planning weddings and they're like, oh, my boyfriend is and white wedding, they even know their dress, how they want it to look. And I was just I thought there was something wrong with me because I was just not interested in all of that. I was interested in dominating, changing, at a very young age. I was I want to change something.
Yes.
I want to cause a shift in this world,
Yeah.
you know? And then when I got to engage with other females, they're like, yeah, I want to get married, have kids, live in a nice white house. I'm like, well, that's boring.
Gee.
Like, and then it kind of affected me, like my dreams, because now it seems like it's unreal.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do, don't be just follow, and then, sorry.
Don't you think that the way you view marriage is the reason why you're like that?
Yeah, I guess it was, but I was never against it.
Okay.
It never was a problem. I was happy when other couples were happy and moms and dads in that case were like happy. I was like, oh, okay, that's great, But now I actually realized it's okay, maybe I do want to get married, but I found the reason why. Yeah. The reason why came first before me making the decision of, okay, I think maybe one day I'll put that up for an option.
Enlighten us. What is your why?
Tell us. Why do you want to get married?
Nosy. The reason why I wanted to get married is because I want children one day. I want to extend God's kingdom,
Okay.
Hey.
and that. And what I mean by that is, I know who I am, and I know who my God is, and it's like mind blowing, and I want my children to experience that. I want to give my child to God and for that child to experience that for themselves, because it's a beautiful gift that one can have, like to have that relationship, to connect yourself to God to that extent where you're very sensitive to Him in anything and everywhere. When He says, it's like, I don't know, it's just the relationship. It's very whole. It makes you feel whole and loved and purposeful. You want to do more. You feel invincible.
Exactly.
Like nothing can destroy you, literally.
Exactly.
So I want my children to have that for themselves.
Okay.
Fundamentalist, imaginationalist. Right? I'm joking. But I mean, I feel like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I know.
Invite us to your wedding. Invite us to the wedding.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to have children, but the husband part, I'm just like, what do we do about this? Because you need a husband to have children.
Just adopt. Just adopt and move on.
And the thing, what you just said, it's when we're growing up is when you're growing up, it's a rarity for us to see that there's a man, there's a male and the female, and the challenges that are out there, And when we're growing up, we can all tell our dreams. I mean, listen to 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds talk about their dreams. Yeah. They're all the same. Until somewhere we start to realize there's a barrier. Like in the church, there was a time where you become a minister, you want to preach, you feel the fire of God, and now first thing they quote is Timothy, where Paul talks about women should sit down and teach in silence, so you can't preach, And what is it that most young girls going up for? Marrying a pastor, because now it becomes the doorway to fulfilling your ministry. Yeah. So in this world, most women came into marriage for the sake of the platform that being married gave them, like the doors that being married somewhat gave them. Because if you can take away my dream of becoming a world domineering, what other role is there for me? What other dream is there for me? So I'm gonna subject myself to what is out there. Yeah. That's what we have to deal with at the end of the day, is that we are not allowed to dream the way you would dream. We are not allowed to think that it's okay for me to go into those spaces alone. You can go into the spaces alone. If today I decide that, I want to go into the sneaker game and now I want to do my own sneakers. Before long, the first thing people will start asking me is, who am I dating? Who's the man in my life? Who's funding me? Who's doing all of this stuff? But they've never asked about Tebucho and all of these guys, about trip and stuff. But to me, all those questions are going to be flooded, whether we want to or not. It starts to take the dream away, because when you go into the boardroom, the conversation is different, And when I'm supposed to show up, I'm supposed to show up. Even if I can show up, get up in a collared t-shirt, in a covered up t-shirt, somebody said that, start to dress more presentable. Just put on a little bit of makeup, do this and that. At least more figure lapa, they will take you seriously. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just a doll for show. You choose whether you want to buy into me or not. So sometimes those are the things that you find that it's difficult for us when you talk about marriage. For us is that we are securing a position that can open doors, or we're securing a position because we have no other alternative out there for us. If for me to be there, at least if I can beg a man, I'm good. Then I can go and run after my dream. Yeah. Should they ask, are you con? I'm married. So can we cover those questions? Do you have kids? Yes, those questions are covered. So subconsciously, some women want to get married and young girls are pushing the issue of marriage, not because there's something they know they're going to get from marriage, because it's more demanding for a woman to be married than it is for a man.
Yeah.
You are, when a woman cheats, society gangs up upon her but when a man cheats, all men cheat, you must understand, you must beg a zelentombi, understand. So those are the things that it's a very deep-seated problem. We can only start in the church to dispel it until we can go into society. Yeah.
So what's your take on people saying women, the Bible oppresses women?
In terms of
I just heard a lot of that, the Bible.
Or the conversation about the women being oppressed.
In the Bible,
I've heard a lot. I mean, I think a lot of feminists drive from that narrative that we as women in the church are being oppressed. The reality of it, it's not true. I would say this: women everywhere share the same problems. It's the conversations you're willing to have. It's what spaces are you? The thing is, I personally believe that our grandmothers were smart. We're just not willing to learn from them.
Yeah.
They were smart. They seemed oppressed, but casual about the conversation. You get to see with abafazi. Those women could hide kids in the family. A man will raise 5 kids that are not even his own. Because those things were there. Society, women would have secret agendas. Women will have missions. They will run society without even men knowing that women are running society. You must, as a woman, you must have the wisdom of God to know your positional authority.
Yeah.
To know that being, in this country, businesses and all, we are run by girls who are sleeping with the guys that you respect. Some 10, some 15, some 20-year-old, 30-year-old girl, not 20, not 30 actually, some 23-year-old girl might be running the country. I'm not saying the president or anything, I'm just saying, but some 23-year-old is running some influential part. Because and all of a sudden, so influence is key. You don't have to have a position, just know how to influence.
Yeah.
So women, if we can just teach our girls the position of influence, to say that, know that sitting at that corner and not having a pulpit does not make you lesser than the guys that get the pulpit. We were never taught that.
Yeah.
I feel like women have a toxic view of getting influence, of being influential or influencing guys, because they would use what they have to influence guys.
Exactly.
And I feel like that is something that is, it
is
so toxic,
It is very toxic.
Yes.
Sorry, when you were talking, the person that came to mind is Harriet Tubman. The amount of work she did and the amount of lives she saved, and it was not expected. Do you understand? You wouldn't really expect a black woman in slavery at the time, seems suppressed, doesn't have the power, can't do anything. The amount of people she got out of a certain situation just because she was willing to step up in her role and to be that influence in that societal whatever thing that it is.
So you would literally think of Harriet Tubman.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't thinking.
Tubman.
You know what, Josh? I wasn't thinking about her specifically. I wasn't thinking about her specifically. It's just she just came to mind randomly. I don't even know much about her and the history, but what she did, I only know the surface of what she did, and it already highlights to me how much of an influence she is today as well to black women and other women.
Kebo, I hope I pronounced it right.
Yeah.
Kebo, right?
Yes.
Okay. While you were speaking, a question popped in my head. Why do you think the new gen feminists, why is it so toxic to society nowadays? Like, what's your view on, like, the whole feminist movement nowadays?
As I said, that I'm a fundamentalist. I always go back to, basically, they don't even know who they are. That's where toxicity starts.
Okay. Yeah.
You cannot shout out something you have no idea where it comes from.
Yeah.
They don't know what is it that they want. I mean, me being a woman, I mean, we were never even out loud confirmed feminists, but our agenda was serious. Our agenda meant business. Why? Because a feminist, their form of feminism does not address the issues that really affect women. Yeah. They don't even know their positioning.
Yeah.
A true feminist knows the power. As you were saying about heritage, as you were saying about her, a true feminist understands the power and the positioning she has. If you say, I'm a maid in a house, you know that somebody cleaning the offices Zaga president has more of the president's ear than people abaming apparently setting up meetings. You can come with your Hugo Boss suit and you'll wait in line. Yeah. But that lady that cleans her house has access to the president. Yeah. So those are the things that, do you know your power? Do you know the position that you're in? They do not know. And what the equality that they demand is not even equality, it's subjection.
Yeah.
You are not being equal, you're just being somebody's subject again. Yeah. We need to understand with in society, there are politics, there are powers at play that pulls our strings. Yeah. We are just puppets in somebody's board game. Yeah. We are just puppets. They move us as they want. So if somebody's thinking they're pushing a feminist agenda, they're just driving. Look at what they're... Okay, let me just give you an example about their liberal sexual life. Who's benefiting from that? Don't you think guys are benefiting from all this free sex they're getting? No consequences, no nothing.
So much.
We understand. Who's getting all the damage and all the hurt? They do. We understand. We talk about fluid sexuality. They get the damage because at the end of the day, who they are still cries out, craves for their attention. You understand? So that's my point. They don't know who they are. Yeah. And if they can figure out who they are, go back to the basics of who they are, they would know exactly the fight that they're fighting. So that's why they're toxic. They don't even know who they are. They are making noise from third-hand information that is just broken down telephone. Yeah. They need to go back to the basic and find out who am I as a person before we can say anything.
That's so true. I mean, that's one extreme to look at it. There's also another extreme on the masculine side where, men think that, like, because they're leaders, because there's a whole headship nature going on, they have authority over a woman. They get to tell her what to do. Like, a woman has to be subject to her, to them. Yeah. Hey, do this. You have to cook for me and all that. And that is also another very toxic way of looking at it. And I mean, going back to the basics, like, there's that's just bottom line. Actually, like, there's like a middle, a center to it. It's not that, like, having, knowing who you are, it's not bad, but you can't stand for something that you're not as well. In which I feel like that's something that we got twisted nowadays.
And just to come on to that again, the thing with this generation, the sad thing about this generation is that guys desire what their grandfathers were at the time when that is not relevant. Yeah. Girls are rebelling what their mothers were. So that's just a combination that is just going to tell your stomach. Yeah. We understand. Uguti, you desire what it's like with everything that's going on. There's no sense of what is our purpose this time. We've had the June 16 youth, we've had Abu Banbani, but what's our purpose this time? You understand? Definitely. So that male text, those vast difference in feminism and masculinity and all of those fights come from history of women, this generation is revenging these girls are revenging what was done to their mothers. And these guys are demanding what their fathers have lost that their grandfathers used to have. That and this would happen. So they're demanding that the generation before your parents did. This generation is like, our parents messed up. And I'm going to fix what our parents messed up. And the sides that you are fixing are very toxic to each other. They are both repelling each other in a very bad way, you know. Yeah. So there's no meeting in the middle unless somebody comes up and say that we need to come back and bring these kids to understanding who you are.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And adding to that, I think one of the reasons why I wasn't like into marriage growing up was because of that. I was so awed, like at all, about the possibility of change, because we were in like the new age of technology, you know, apartheid is over. Like there's something new that needs to come to surface. Do you understand? And what the generation now obviously is doing, as you said, is just focusing on what was then instead of looking into the now. You know, who can we be now? What shift can we do and find in our time right now that is needed? Because tools of then in the now, it's not going to work. It's not going to do anything. It's only going to cause chaos and more trauma unnecessarily. What we're supposed to be doing is healing.
Yeah.
Healing more than anything. After healing, we go back to the basics of why God created us. Because now we basically have that freedom. You know, all the things that were sort of suppressing us in a way were loosed. So there's space now for God's glory to show up and for you to be fruitful. You understand?
Exactly.
There's more room for that now in our generation.
I love that. I think it all goes back to going back to God. Knowing,
back to the basics. Yeah.
Going back to basics. Knowing who you are in Christ. Knowing who God says you are. You know?
Yeah.
That is very powerful. That is very important, you know, especially for both, actually, for both males and females.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is very important. Just in closing, final statements. We'll wrap it up.
This is so sad. Why are we closing?
It's been a beautiful topic.
It was.
Discussion it has.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to just closing statements. Wrap it up.
You know, I forgot Kamu's one pointer after every message. One thing you have to.
There has to be a takeaway from
I like that.
Thing.
Yes, shall we start?
Yeah, I think from what we have just talked about today, I think one of the things that needs to be taken care of right now is we owe it to this generation to give them an identity. We owe it to them to give them some sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Because it's sad how we blame them for not creating, yet we've never created spaces for them to function.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I think the responsibility right now should be giving them a sense of identity and creating spaces for them to have some sort of purpose, to be busy about something. Because there's nothing I believe they are busy about. You cannot claim a music genre as your identity. Yeah. There's more to you than
just a music genre.
So I think that's what we have, the messes that we have done the mess we have done in the past is we have not created a platform for them to operate in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Josh?
Mic drop. I think it's to go back to your creator. Go back to the fundamentals. Go back to the fundamentals. Once you get that right, you'll be good. You'll know, it's okay, your direction, you'll have a sense of direction and you will lean yourself into that more.
No, I made my closing statement, but yeah, this has honestly been a very powerful series.
It has.
This adulting series has just been educational for me, has been inspiring for me. I've literally just learned like a lot. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, totally. I mean,
we have learned a lot.
What a way to close it off.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Thank you for having me.
So much for being with us tonight. Like, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Klutlos, thank you for inviting her. Like, we appreciate you also, you know.
Thank you.
Like, the guests you bring on, quality.
Okay.
Quality.
Okay.
Bruh.
That's fine.
I mean, it's 2 in a row. two in a row. Two in a row. It's the second time. So
well, I would do third in a row, but hey, she was
Yeah.
just like chill.
Yeah, just chill a bit.
Okay,
Just chill
for
a
now
bit.
we'll chill.
It was good. It was a good series. Very good. Like, I think how we closing this is very like important.
Yeah,
Knowing
definitely.
who God is, knowing your identity, just like redefining this generation's identity in Christ.
Yeah.
It's very important. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also, just wanted to like one-liner
Hey.
last week. If who are you
Hey.
without the money?
Hey.
Yes, I mean we didn't introduce her like that, but your sister, amazing as well, and that's something that stood out for me as well. Like your identity, and I mean like it's so interesting. Did you guys rehearse this before you came in? Because I mean the identity thing, it's like because we spoke about identity as well last week.
Yeah.
Who are you before the money? Before you get money, everything, like you need to also be solid with yourself. And you mentioning this, it's honestly, I mean, truth, there's only one truth. And you reconfirming this as well, so important to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Identity, guys, is very important because in most of the adulting series, identity has been mentioned a few times. And I guess that's what the highlights or one of the top highlights are for the series is to know your identity.
Yeah.
Do not be so easily wavered by what is going on in the world, especially what's going on right now. It's chaotic. You need to know yourself. You need to know where you come from. You need to know so you don't just fall into anything. Be intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100.
No, perfect.
Okay.
Just be aware that, guys, the next time you see us, it will just be myself, Trudra, and Josh.
Yeah.
Just for a couple of episodes and just,
Of community love stuff.
Just doing those things. Yeah. But
Yeah.
remember to follow, to like. Like if you're on Instagram, follow us also on Instagram.
Yeah.
But like, subscribe, click that notification button and comment.
Yeah. Anything.
sir.
Jay.
Yeah.
That ding ding.
Ding ding. Exactly.